All right, let's be real for a second. If you're trying No Nut November, the odds are stacked against you. You're probably set up to fail. And you know what? It's got nothing to do with how much willpower you have. It's because you're walking into a battle without a plan. But today, we're changing that. We're giving you the blueprint, the system that can flip those odds from a 90% chance of failure to a 70% chance of success.
So let's just start with this number, 90%. That's how many people fail No Nut November by day 7. A single week. That failure rate is absolutely staggering, and it tells you that most people are missing something really, really important. So, what's the deal? Why do so many people with the best of intentions just completely crash and burn? Everyone's quick to blame a lack of willpower, but you know what? They're wrong. The real problem is that most of us just don't understand how our own brains are wired. And this slide just lays it all out. On the left, you've got willpower alone. The success rate? A measly 10 to 15%. Now look at the right, the system. That success rate jumps to a massive 60 to 70%. The people who actually succeed don't have some kind of superhuman willpower. They have a plan. They have a system. So let's break it down. Okay, so the very first part of this system is what we're going to call your daily armor. These are the 2 strategies you absolutely have to do every single day. They're not negotiable, and they build your defense from the ground up. Strategy number 1 starts with a truth that might be a little hard to swallow. Your brain is a liar. Seriously. Without hard data, it'll start whispering excuses, it'll try to bargain with you, it'll tell you, just one look, it won't hurt. Your brain is literally designed to take the easy way out, which is why tracking your progress is your first and best defense against its tricks. So what are we actually tracking here? It's pretty simple, but man, is it powerful. Every day, you're just going to log your status, the intensity of any urges on a scale from 1 to 10, what time they happened, what was going on around you, and, this is super important, did you do your replacement habits? This isn't about judging yourself, it's just about seeing clearly. It literally stops that self-deception in its tracks. And that brings us to strategy number 2, and honestly, this might be the most important piece of the entire puzzle. You can't just delete a habit that's been wired into your brain for years. Think about it. Your brain has this well-worn path it takes whenever you're stressed or bored. Trying to just block that path without giving it a new one to follow, that's a recipe for disaster. You have to replace it. So, what does that replacement actually look like? Well, here's a super effective habit stack you can just steal and start using. In the morning, boom, a cold shower and some meditation to get your head right. And in the evening, get a workout in, do some reading, and, this is a big one, get your phone out of the bedroom. These aren't just random things to do, they give your brain a healthy hit of that dopamine it's craving, and that carves out a new, much better path for it to follow. Okay, so you've got your daily armor on, now it's time to actually survey the terrain. The next 2 strategies are all about understanding and controlling your environment. You gotta know your battlefield. Strategy number 3 is all about figuring out your triggers. And here's the thing about urges. They're not random, not at all. They're actually super predictable. For most people, they tend to pop up in the morning, during that late afternoon slump, late at night, or when you're feeling stressed. That data you've been tracking, it's going to show you your specific patterns, which means you can see them coming and cut them off at the pass. And that leads right into strategy 4, controlling your digital world. I mean, you wouldn't try to quit smoking inside a cigarette factory, right? It's the same idea here. This slide shows you 2 levels. You can go with the minimum approach, delete the apps that trigger you, install some blockers. Or, if you're really serious, you can go aggressive, maybe even switch to a dumb phone for the month. Every single trigger you remove from your environment makes you that much more likely to succeed. All right, we've covered the practical stuff, daily habits, your environment, but none of that works without the right headspace. Now we get to the psychological part, building an unbreakable mindset. This is all about how you frame the challenges that are definitely coming your way. This right here, this is a total game changer. The old way of thinking when an urge hits is, I'm failing, I'm so weak. That just creates panic and makes you way more likely to give in. The new mindset, though, it sees that urge and thinks, okay, here we go. This is a wrap. This is where I build the discipline muscle. It completely transforms a moment of weakness into a moment of strength. How you see it literally changes everything. Okay, this might sound weird, but strategy 6 is all about having a plan for when you mess up. Because, spoiler alert, you probably will. Perfectionism is your enemy here. If you expect to be perfect for 30 days, you're just going to quit after one mistake. So instead, you have a recovery protocol already planned out. If you slip, you don't spiral. You just log it,
Figure out what happened, immediately do 2 of your replacement habits, and get right back on the horse the same day. No guilt, just data and action.
And this just says it all, right? The person who aims for perfection and quits after one slip, they get a big fat 0 out of 30. But the person who slips up a few times and uses their recovery plan to keep going, they might end up with 25 out of 30. Resilience, not perfection, is what wins the game.
Now for our final core strategy, and this one is about what happens after the clock strikes midnight on November 30th. Most people see a finish line, but if you want this to actually change your life, you need to see it as a starting block for whatever comes next.
So check out this number, 66. Why 66? Well, according to the research, that's the average amount of time it takes for a new complex habit to become automatic. 30 days is an awesome start, don't get me wrong, but it's not quite enough to lock in those changes for good. If you just stop on November 30th, you didn't really transform. You just hit the pause button. So you gotta have a plan for what's next before you even finish. Like this slide shows, you could keep going until December 6th to hit that 66-day mark, or maybe you aim for a winter arc and go until February. Or, hey, you could just decide this is your new normal and make it permanent. The point is, have a plan so you don't just snap right back to your old habits on December 1st.
Okay, we have laid out the entire system, all 7 core strategies. But I know what you're probably thinking. All that stuff is great, but what about those moments of pure crisis? We've been teasing it, and now it's time for the big reveal, your secret weapon.
This is the moment we're talking about. All the planning in the world is great, but what do you do when an urge just hits you like a freight train right now in this very moment? You need an emergency override switch, a panic button.
And this is it, the emergency protocol. This is a step-by-step procedure you follow without even thinking. 1. Recognize the urge is there. 2. Splash your face with cold water. 3. Immediately get up and leave the room you're in. 4. Drop and do push-ups or squats to shock your system. Then, log the urge, call someone if you have to, and do one of your replacement habits. It's a complete circuit breaker for your brain. And hey, if you feel so overwhelmed you can't even remember all that, there's a super simple version. Just do these 3 things. Cold water on your face, leave the room, and do 20 push-ups. That's it. According to the source, this simple 3-step combo works about 70% of the time to just kill an urge on the spot. So let's bring it all back home and look at where we started. This chart pretty much tells the entire story, doesn't it? On the left, you've got that tiny 10 to 15% success rate from just using willpower. And on the right, by actually using these 7 strategies, you see that huge 60 to 70% success rate from the system. I mean, the difference is just undeniable.
And that really just leaves us with this final thought. Look, this isn't about being stronger. It's about being smarter. A system will always beat raw willpower. Now you have the blueprint. The choice of which path you're going to take? Well, that's entirely up to you.